Amara was born into a village where beauty was treated like currency, and a woman's future was often decided by how well she could attract a wealthy husband. From a young age, people praised her striking looks, her smooth skin, her confident walk, her bright eyes that seemed to carry dreams bigger than the dusty roads she grew up on. But while others saw her beauty as her greatest asset, Amara saw it as a cage. She watched women around her depend on men for survival, their voices shrinking over time, their dreams fading into silence. Deep inside, she wanted more. When she finally spoke her truth, the village erupted in laughter. "I'm going to the city," she said one evening, standing in front of her family and a few curious neighbors who had gathered. "I will build something for myself." The reaction was immediate and brutal. "Build what?" one man scoffed. "Are you going there to marry a rich man or to suffer?" "You think life is easy in the city?" another added. "Even men come back broken." Her closest friend, Ngozi, who had always stood by her, or so she thought, laughed the loudest. "Amara, look at yourself. You have beauty. Use it wisely. Beauty does not cook soup, but it can attract the man who will cook it for you." The words stung deeper than anything else. It wasn't just mockery, it was betrayal. Even her uncle, the man she had hoped would support her, shook his head in disappointment. "You are chasing shadows," he said. "Stay here. Marry well. That is your path." But something inside Amara refused to bend. The rejection, the doubt, the laughter, it all burned into her spirit, turning her fear into fuel. With a small bag of clothes and no clear plan, she left the village at dawn the next day. No one followed her. No one stopped her. No one wished her well. The city was nothing like she imagined. It was louder, harsher, and far more unforgiving than the stories she had heard. The buildings stood tall, but so did the barriers. Everywhere she turned, doors were closed. She searched for work tirelessly. Offices rejected her. Shops turned her away. Even small businesses said she lacked experience. Days turned into weeks, and the little money she had quickly disappeared. Hunger became her constant companion. Nights were spent in uncomfortable corners, sometimes with fear as her only blanket. One afternoon, weak and desperate, she followed a group of women carrying large sacks on their backs. Their clothes were worn, their faces serious. They moved with purpose through piles of refuse, sorting, picking, gathering. It took her a moment to understand. They were waste pickers. Her heart sank. This was not the future she had imagined. This was not the life she had fought for. But hunger has a way of silencing pride. She approached one of the women and asked, "Can I join you?" The woman looked her up and down, noticing her soft hands and uncertain posture. "If you can work, you can eat," she replied bluntly. That was how it began. Amara's first day was the hardest day of her life. The smell was overwhelming. The work was exhausting. Her hands, once admired for their softness, became scratched and bruised. Her clothes, once clean and bright, became stained and worn. People passed by and laughed. "Is that not the fine village girl?" someone said one day. "Now she lives in trash. She thought she was too good for marriage," another mocked. "Now look at her." Each word cut deep, but she said nothing. She kept working. Day after day, she carried heavy sacks under the burning sun. She sorted plastic from metal, glass from organic waste. She learned quickly not because she wanted to, but because she had to. At first, she was cheated constantly. Buyers paid her less than her materials were worth. Middlemen manipulated prices. Stronger workers tried to push her out of profitable areas. But something inside her began to change. She stopped trying to be polite. The same girl who once smiled easily now spoke firmly. When someone tried to cheat her, she confronted them. When someone tried to intimidate her, she stood her ground. People began to call her difficult. "She has a bad character," they said. But that bad character became her strength. Instead of breaking her, the harsh environment sharpened her mind. She began to notice things others ignored. She realized that not all waste was equal. Some plastics were more valuable. Certain metals fetched higher prices. Some locations produced better materials than others. While others worked blindly, Amara started working intelligently. She began to separate her collections more carefully, increasing their value. She found better buyers who paid fairly. She saved every extra coin she earned. Months turned into years. With her savings, she bought her first pushcart. It was small and worn, but it allowed her to collect more materials in less time. Soon after, she hired one young boy to help her, then another. Her operation grew slowly but steadily. She moved from picking waste to organizing it, from organizing it to supplying it, from supplying it to controlling parts of the chain. People who once ignored her began to notice her. Amara didn't stop. She reinvested everything. She learned about recycling processes. She connected with larger buyers. She expanded into new areas. Her pushcart became a tricycle. The tricycle became a truck. Years later, the same woman who had once been mocked for digging through trash stood as the owner of a growing waste management and recycling business. Her company employed dozens of workers, then hundreds. She cleaned neighborhoods. She reduced pollution. She turned what others discarded into something valuable. Her name began to appear in newspapers. Interviews followed. Awards came. They called her many things: the Queen of Recycling, the woman who turned waste into wealth, the CEO of waste. But to Amara, it was never about titles. It was about proving a truth she had carried since the day she left the village. Hard work never lies. One day, she decided to return home. The village that once laughed at her fell silent as her convoy of vehicles rolled in. Children ran alongside the cars. Elders stood at a distance, whispering. Faces that once held mockery now held disbelief. Then came the moment no one expected. Ngozi stepped forward. Life had not favored her. The confidence she once had was gone, replaced by struggle and regret. Her marriage had failed. Her business attempts had collapsed. She looked at Amara with teary eyes. "I need your help," she said quietly. "Please, forgive me." The crowd leaned in, waiting. Amara looked at her for a long moment. The memories were still there, the laughter, the betrayal, the words that once broke her. "You said something to me before I left," Amara began. Ngozi lowered her head. "You said beauty does not cook soup." A soft murmur passed through the crowd. Amara nodded slowly. "You were right." Ngozi looked up, surprised. "But you forgot something," Amara continued, her voice calm and steady. "Hard work feeds nations." There was no anger in her tone, no bitterness, just truth. "I will help you," Amara said finally. "But not with pity. I will give you a job. If you want to rise, you will work." Tears rolled down Ngozi's face, not from shame, but from the weight of the lesson. In that moment, the village understood something it had ignored for too long. Amara had not returned for revenge. She had returned as proof. Proof that dignity is not found in comfort, but in perseverance. Proof that what looks dirty can still be honorable. Proof that the path people mock today may lead to greatness tomorrow. Her story spread far beyond the village, becoming a lesson for anyone willing to listen. In life, people will laugh when they do not understand your journey. They will judge your beginnings and mock your struggles. They will measure your worth based on appearances, not effort. But the truth remains unshaken. Beauty may open doors, but it cannot sustain a life. Pride may protect your image, but it cannot feed your future. It is resilience, the willingness to endure, to adapt, to rise, that builds empires. And sometimes, the very thing the world calls waste is the foundation of greatness.